Today we are going to carry on our coordinate geometry topic, and we are going to look how to work out the midpoint of a line. So we're going to run through the proof of the formula first. So here you can see I've got a sketch of a straight line graph, and we have two coordinates, coordinate A and coordinate B, and you can see I've labelled them with the x1, y1 and the x2, y2. We have also labelled the midpoint as M. So thinking back to our gradient lesson, when we drop a triangle to find the gradient, this length down here was our y2 minus y1, and the length going across was x2 minus x1. So to travel to that M point, that midpoint, if we start at A, and we're looking at this x coordinate first, you start at x1 and you travel across half of the x2 minus x1. So x2 minus x1 over 2. And you can see it's got x1 plus x2 minus x1 over 2. Now using your fractions rules, make the denominators the same to be able to add them together. So you get it over 2, so times the top by the same. And it adds up to x1 plus x2 over 2. So that's for the x coordinate. Now if we're looking at the y coordinate, we're starting at this coordinate B. So you're starting at y2 and you're going down by this y2 minus y1 over 2. So you are subtracting this from y2. So you can see it starts off as y2 minus y1 over 2. Again, using your fractions rules, when you subtract, it gives you y1 plus y2 over 2. So the formula to find the midpoint of a line is x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2 in a coordinate. So you add the x coordinates and halve it, and you add the y coordinates and halve it. Here we are going to look at some examples then. So find the midpoint of the line joining the following 2 points. Question 1, 1, 4 and 1, 6. So looking at these two coordinates, hopefully you're thinking that the midpoint is going to be 1, 5, which it is. So we're just going to prove it with this question using the formula that we've just said. So to start with, just like our gradient, we want to write down x1, y1 on top of the first coordinate and x2, y2 to help us. Then write down the formula for the midpoint ready. So remember, the midpoint is your x coordinates added together, so x1 plus x2 and halve it, and then for your y coordinate, y1 plus y2 and halve it. So just like we did for the gradient, we're going to substitute the correct numbers into the correct places. So we've got x1 plus x2, so we've got 1 for x1 plus 1 for x2 all over 2, comma, for the y coordinate we have 4 plus 6 all over 2. If we work these out now, 1 plus 1 is 2 over 2, which gives, and 4 plus 6 is 10 over 2. So remember, it means divides of 2 over 2 just gives you 1, and 10 over 2 gives you 5. So you can see the formula has given us the coordinate that we guessed it would be. So the midpoint of 1, 4 and 1, 6 is 1, 5. We'll have a go of 2 more examples then. So question 2, we've got 1, 7 and 10, 3. So this one might not be quite as simple to guess or estimate where your midpoint would be. So we need to use that formula. So again, if we write x1, y1 on top of the first coordinate and x2, y2 to help us, and remember the formula for your midpoint, the coordinate to find it, we add the x's together and halve it, and we add the y's together and halve it. Substitute the values in then. So x1 is 1 plus x2, which is 10 over 2, comma, and then y1 is 7 and y2 is 3 over 2. If we work these out then, so 1 plus 10 is 11 over 2, and 7 plus 3 is 10 over 2. So we can either leave them as fractions, or if they don't divide, or we can write them as a decimal. So as it's quite a simple divide, I'm going to write it as a decimal. So 11 divided by 2 is 5.5, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. Remember, make sure your coordinates have the brackets around the outside and the comma in between. Example 3 then, last question. So again, always start by writing your x1, y1 and your x2, y2 above to make sure we don't make any silly mistakes when substituting. And again, you're using this formula, so the midpoint is your x coordinates added together and halved, and your y coordinates are added together and halved. So substitute in your values. So for x1 we have minus 2, plus for x2 we have 3 over 2, comma, and then your y values, y1 is 2 and plus y2 is minus 1 over 2. So for the x part of the coordinate we have minus 2 plus 3, so minus 2 plus 3 is 1 over 2, so you have a half, and then 2 plus minus 1, so remember plus and minus makes a minus, so 2 take away 1 is 1 over 2, so the coordinate is half, half, or if you'd rather write it as a decimal, 0.5, 0.5, but either will be accepted.